They're really trying to not break up. The dynamic here has shifted in a way that does not allow for a romantic relationship to flourish. Hi everyone, welcome to this video. On my channel, I analyze song lyrics very in depth through the lens of literary analysis. Today we're going to be analyzing the song Two Ghosts by Harry Styles. Here's a list of literary terms I may refer to throughout this video, and as always, everything I state is just my own personal opinion. Music is very subjective, and I always love hearing what you think down below in the comments. If I remember correctly, back when the song was released, I think it was rumored to be about Taylor Swift. I'm personally not really going to get into that. I don't really like commenting on artists' personal lives. This is going to be just an analysis of the words. So a ghost can be thought of as a spirit or a soul of a once living entity or thing. It has not been able to pass on to the afterlife. It's lingering, right? And sometimes that happens when there's unfinished business. Here, the two ghosts in question, in my opinion, are referring to the two people that were once part of a relationship. I think the ghost is the past version of both of these people. To me, when I read through the lyrics of the song, I also think about a relationship as having a soul. I think about the ghost of a relationship as well. Your body has organs that have to work in order to help keep you healthy. And within a relationship, there has to be things working to keep that alive and healthy. And to me, it's like the soul of this relationship is gone. The soul of that relationship is kind of like a relic of the past now. So when I think about this song and these lyrics, in addition to thinking about the two parties in this relationship and their past selves as being metaphorical ghosts, I also think about the relationship itself as kind of being personified in a way. When a relationship doesn't have a soul, it's hollow. The essence is gone. Verse 1. Same lips red, same eyes blue, same white shirt, couple more tattoos. This is giving us some context clues about the partner in question, but again, I'm not going to get into that. For me, what I think is happening is that two exes are meeting each other or spending time together after the relationship has ended, or it's right before the relationship is going to end. So maybe they're still technically together, however, they haven't seen each other in a while or stuff has been kind of rocky, and now they're actually spending one-on-one time together. I do sense that there is a passage of time though, because of the lyric, a couple more tattoos. There's repetition of the word same within these two lines. It's repeated 3 times. I always say that repetition signifies significance. I personally think it's significant when certain words or phrases are repeated in a song. It can give us a clue about maybe the underlying meaning or even perhaps what the songwriter wants you to focus on. To me, the repetition of same here makes me think about the concept of sameness very intensely. It's kind of like the word same is in bold. It's really driving the point home that everything is the same. The red lips are the same, the blue eyes are the same white shirt. I hope that he washed it. Everything is the same, and I think that's meant to contrast later on in the song when it doesn't feel the same. It's kind of like a memory. You can never recreate the same memory twice. That's kind of what this reminds me of. But it's not you and it's not me. So there's 2 ways we can think about this. We can think about this in the context of a breakup. Like it's not you, it's me. But in this context, they're saying it's not you, it's not me. Like it's no one's fault, but this isn't working. Or another way to think about it is that despite the fact that we look the same way we did the last time we saw one another, despite all of that sameness, we're not the people we were the last time we were here. The looks can be deceiving. The internal state of both parties is different now. It's like saying we're both here, but we're not us. It's kind of like going back to your hometown after an extended period of time, and your hometown is the same, but it feels different because you've changed, you've grown, and you're a different person now. Tastes so sweet, looks so real, sounds like something that I used to feel. So perhaps the kiss is still sweet. That could be what that lyric is referring to. Or maybe being in their presence is sweet. It's so sweet that they can taste the experience. Looks so real. This could be referring to them being together. They look like a real couple still. Sounds like something that I used to feel. The red lips, the blue eyes, the taste of their kisses perhaps. All of that, that's past tense. They used to feel it. They don't really feel it anymore. It's like an emotional memory, but I can't touch what I see. It's kind of like a checklist, like blue eyes, red lips, like the ex-partner is there, they look great. However, what's missing is a spark. The soul of the relationship is no longer there. What's left is merely a metaphorical hollow skeleton of the relationship. The protagonist is saying that they can't touch what they see. I really enjoy that because this brings in the concept of intangible things being felt tangibly. So here, what the protagonist can't touch is the love, is the spark, it's the chemistry, it's like the soul of the relationship, but the protagonist can't touch it. It's no longer an non-existent. There's nothing to grasp onto within this relationship. Again, it reminds me of like hometown vibes. You're meeting up with your hometown best friend. You still have love for one another. And usually when you would hang out back in the day, you would talk nonstop. But now there are awkward lulls in the conversation. That's a similar type of feeling that I equate to what's being described in this verse. I interrupt this video with a very special message from myself. This is sponsored by me. I want to let you guys know that I'm offering services on the website Fiverr. I'm offering a few different things. I can help you refine your own analysis skills to develop your own unique perspective about poetry, about song lyrics, about any written work. I've also been getting a lot of messages from you guys letting me know that you use my videos to help you learn English. So if you need an English conversation partner, I'm your girl. We can converse through the internet. I can help you with pronunciation, sentence structure, and random things about American culture that are not super intuitive. If you're a songwriter or a poet and want me to read your original piece of work and provide you with a very detail-oriented feedback, I can do that as well. All that information is going to be linked down below. If you have any questions about any of the services I'm offering, please message me directly through the website Fiverr. Back to the video that you actually clicked here for. We have repetition of the lyric, "We're not who we used to be." So both the protagonist and the former love have changed as people. I do personally think that maybe they were still together, but they spent some time apart. Maybe they were taking a break, a la Ross and Rachel. Whatever has happened or transpired between them, either a lot of time has elapsed, enough time to get a couple more tattoos, or enough events in their life have occurred where they're just two different people. There is no common ground for a relationship between them any longer. And this is no one's fault. This is something that simply just happens. Some relationships just have to run their course. Other relationships can be for life. Just because it doesn't work out or just because these people are two metaphorical ghosts now doesn't mean that any person is like a bad person. It just simply is what it is. We're just two goats standing in the place of you and me. It sounds like the protagonist and their ex-love maybe were trying to go through the motions of being in a relationship, but again, like the spark, the life source of the relationship was no longer present. Trying to remember how it feels to have a heartbeat. I do think that the relationship is being personified here and they're talking about the heartbeat of a relationship and keeping the relationship alive. However, if you want, you can also interpret it as the two people having a heartbeat more metaphorically. So it would be referring to the two people feeling alive and feeling the spark again within the relationship. That line really indicates that the relationship feels dead. Verse 2. The fridge light washes this room white. Moon dances over your good side. I love those two lyrics. I find them very eloquent. So the fridge light washes this room white. Very beautiful imagery. Dancing in the kitchen in the refrigerator light. I do not think that those are related because we know who that song is about. However, I find it interesting that we're talking about fridges in this song. Just saying. This does bring in light imagery. It could kind of be a stretch, but I'm gonna explain this to you in case it resonates with you. Light imagery is usually very positive because light illuminates things, right? It can reveal truths for you. It can provide you with clarity. And in some instances, light imagery can be very cleansing and can signify new beginnings. So this could be like a positive use of light imagery. And it's interesting because we also have the moon mentioned, and moonlight is a thing that exists. When it says the moon dances over your good side, I think it's literally referring to moonlight. That's a very beautiful image. And the fact that it says good side to me is like cute. It's kind of intimate because the protagonist is so like intimately involved with this now ex-love that like they know which side is their good side. I just think the attention to detail there and the specificity is very beautiful. Moonlight, I love. I think it's very romantic and very beautiful. However, I always say this, moonlight is interesting to interpret because moonlight does not come from the moon. It's light that is actually emitted from the sun and reflected onto the moon. So the moon itself is not creating that light. And I personally find that a little bit melancholy and a little bit somber in certain contexts that the moon is not able to create their own light. They have to depend on the sun for it. So we can think about that as well within this context. You don't have to. You don't have to think about anything the way I'm thinking about it. I'm simply just starting a conversation here, but I always bring that up when I talk about the moon because I think it's an important fact to acknowledge. For me though, I don't necessarily think I want to interpret this in the terms of light imagery. For me, I just think this is like kind of romantic and intimate and cute, especially because of the word dances. I find that to be like a mildly flirtatious kind of cute sort of word. That's the connotation for me. I just enjoy the idea of moonlight dancing over someone's face. I think that's just really cute. So to me, I think the moon is positive in this context. And I think the fridge light is just referring to a memory that they perhaps had. This was all we used to need. Very simple things, very low effort, but that's kind of how you want the chemistry to be, right? You want the chemistry and the spark to occur naturally. You don't want to have to force it in a relationship. Tongue-tied like we've never known, telling those stories we already told. They're stumbling over their words now when they try to hang out. They don't know how to communicate with one another. And in my opinion, in a relationship, you have to naturally understand one another. For example, you have to understand each other's sense of humor. That to me is a very important foundation of a relationship. The fact that they're stumbling over their words and it's not like a first date situation, that is kind of alarming. It's a clue that you're not in sync with one another. You know, just because that happens doesn't mean that you have to break up. Everything is context dependent, but there's a stark contrast between how the protagonist and their love used to be and how they are now in this song. There's been a shift. The magic is gone. The soul of the relationship is no longer there. They have nothing to talk about, right? They're just talking about the past, or they're talking about the stories that they've already told one another. Because we don't say what we really mean. I think they both know that the relationship has run its course and they don't want to say it out loud. And maybe it's because they both still have love for one another. There's nothing you can do when the spark is gone and when the communication is lacking in that way. They're both kind of holding back from talking about the reality of what's happening. Then we have repetition of the chorus. However, it's a little bit different. So I'm going to concentrate on the new lyrics here. We're just two ghosts swimming in a glass half empty. It's pretty metaphorical, right? They're both kind of like shells of who they used to be. I'm not saying that they're shells of who they used to be in their own life, but just within the context of this relationship. A glass half empty is a very negative image. I'm sure most of you are familiar. If someone views the glass half full, they're optimistic. If they view it half empty, then they're pessimistic. It's kind of like a foreshadow. It gives us a clue about the fate of this relationship. The ghosts are swimming in a glass half empty. It's kind of like they're going in a circle because the glass is like cylindrical. They're swimming in a glass which does not have much room. Even a metaphorical glass, I don't think it's going to have much room. They're just swimming in circles. When you swim a lot, you're going to get tired, but they're not really going anywhere or doing anything. It's inefficient activity and it's getting them nowhere. They're swimming in a glass that's described here as being half empty, which to me means that they're not going to swim to like a destination. There's no way to win this. That's what this line is telling me. They're really trying to not break up. However, you can only avoid that for so long when the state of the relationship is what's being described here. Swimming is also interesting because it kind of brings forth water imagery. To me, this is not like explicit water imagery, but the two ghosts are submerged within the water. So I do want to point this out. Usually water imagery can be positive. It can signify a renewal and a rebirth of sorts. In literature, sometimes the character may go swimming in like the ocean, and then when they come out of the ocean, they're cleansed. It's kind of, again, like a rebirth. They're starting a new chapter. You can think about it in that way as well. They're swimming in a glass, and when they come out of this glass, they're going to be cleansed maybe of trying to stay in a relationship that's dead. It could also just signify that a renewal is coming. This is kind of like a sadder renewal because there's a breakup involved, but you can think about it in that way if you'd like. The new lyric in this verse says, "We don't see what we used to see." So we can think about this in a lot of different ways. Maybe the mindset of each person has shifted and changed, and it's changed in a way that they don't really see eye to eye anymore. You don't have to like think exactly the same as your partner, but there has to be like a spark. There has to be like a foundation of understanding between one another. That's one way to think about it. You can also think about it as saying that the two partners here don't see like the spark in one another anymore. The attraction hasn't like gone away, but it's kind of faded into maybe like a more neutral sort of energy, not a romantic sort of energy. Maybe it's become like more platonic. We can also think about that as referring to them not seeing each other for who they are now. They keep looking at each other and trying to see who each person was maybe when the relationship started. There is like endless ways to view that lyric, but those are the things that I'm thinking about. I would love to know what you think, so feel free to leave me a comment down below. And then the last verse also consists of repeated lyrics. There is a little bit of a difference because now we have something in first person. It says, I'm just trying to remember how it feels to have a heartbeat. And to me, this makes the tone a little bit more intimate. It kind of brings everything back to the protagonist. They really are trying. They still care for this person and respect this person. And they're really trying to find the spark again. But sometimes, like I said, relationships just run their course. And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it. This song does have a lot of repeated lyrics, and the lyric that's repeated the most often is the one that says, we're not who we used to be. And to me, the repetition of that is significant because I think that's what the protagonist is thinking in the back of their mind. I think they keep trying to make it work, but in the back of their mind, and maybe like even within their soul, within their subconscious, they know that they're not who they used to be. It's not going to work anymore. The dynamic here has shifted in a way that does not allow for a romantic relationship to flourish. To sum up, the song Two Ghosts by Harry Styles, to me, is about a relationship that has reached its expiration point. Sometimes that can be an eerie feeling because everything looks the same. You're still with the same person. You're still you and they're still them, but something has happened that has shifted the dynamic, or something has happened that has changed both people, but they've changed in such a way that when they're together, there's no longer a synergistic effect. The soul of the relationship is no longer there. We can view the relationship as personified and the relationship as a ghost, or we can view the protagonist as the ghosts in question, which I think was more the intent. The ghost is referring to who they used to be, to their past selves. And you know, this is really sad, but I think what's more sad is remaining in a dynamic that is no longer serving you. It's really, really sad, and I would argue kind of eerie sometimes to remain in a place that is no longer actually meant for you. Please let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I always love hearing your take. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!